Hi, welcome to Boys Town Videos for Parents. I'm Father Val J. Peter, Executive Director of Boys Town. Over the years, we've learned a few things about kids, and we'd like to share some of our ideas to help you in your role as a parent.
I know smoking's not good for you, Mom. I just want to try it.
If I go out with John on Friday, Carol will never speak to me again. What should I do?
I really want to go to the basketball game with Kevin, but Jason wants me to go to a movie. I can't decide.
It's often tough for kids to make the right choices, isn't it? There's so many questions. Sometimes you'd like to jump in and solve everything for them. But even if you could, you wouldn't really be helping them. Children who've learned how to make their own decisions are better prepared to face the adult world when the time comes than those whose mother or father always tried to pave the way. Here at Boys Town, our preteen and adolescent boys and girls face the problems all young people face. Who to go out with on a date, how to find a part-time job, how to deal with a bully. Because we won't always be with our youngsters, just as you won't always be with yours, we teach them a method they can use to resolve conflicts, plan for the future, and make decisions about how they'll live their lives. We believe these ideas can help children of almost any age learn to choose ways of behaving that will strengthen their character. This method also can improve your relationship with your child. Sometimes your child will tell you if he or she has a problem or a decision to make. At other times, the youngster may not perceive a problem at all, but you do. Either way, the way you act and what you say is crucial. The 5-step process we use to guide our youngsters in making decisions is called the SOTAS method, a revision of a problem-solving process developed by Jan Russo. SOTAS is an acronym that stands for the following steps. First, define the problem situation. Second, examine options available to deal with the problem. Third and fourth, determine the disadvantages and advantages of each option. Fifth, decide on the solution. You may want to write down the points as you discuss them, especially when you first begin using this method. While using the SOTAS method, be sure to do 3 things. Stay close to your child, listen, and show empathy. Defining the situation may take the greatest amount of time because children sometimes use vague and emotional descriptions. Limit the choice of options to no more than 3 or 4. More than that becomes confusing. Let's look now at one family and how they use this method. Please notice how the mother moves closer to her daughter and shows empathy.
Before you do something serious like quit your job, I think you'd better look at all the options.
Oh no, we have to do this.
Well, Marty, you're about to make a pretty big decision, and I'm not sure you've thought about exactly what it will mean. Okay. You've decided that you don't want to deal with Mr. Smith anymore. And you've already decided that one option would be quitting your job.
And that's the only option there is.
Yes, that's a very real option. Can you think of any other way of handling this?
Jeez. I could try and forget about it and pretend like it doesn't bother me, but it really does.
Okay. Option number 2, forget about incident. Got any other ideas?
Yeah, I could give him a piece of my mind and tell him I think he's a horrible boss.
Okay. Tell off boss. Anything else?
No, I can't think of anything else.
Sometimes a child will need help from you in coming up with a realistic option.
What about talking to Mr. Smith?
Talking to him? Talking to him about what?
Well, you could let him know how you feel.
No, I couldn't do that. He wouldn't understand. Well, I guess you could put that down as one option, but I don't think it would work.
Okay. We have 4 options. You could quit, you could forget about the incident, you could tell off the boss, or you could talk to him and tell him how you feel. Now let's move on to the advantages and disadvantages of each. What would be the disadvantages of you quitting?
Well, I wouldn't have any spending money, and I wouldn't be able to keep saving for that stereo I want.
Right.
And I would have to find another job someplace else, and I might not be able to find one.
Uh-huh. And what would be the advantages to your quitting?
I wouldn't have to deal with Mr. Smith anymore.
Okay. Okay, can you think of any other advantages?
No, but that's a big one.
Okay. Option number 2, forgetting about the situation. What would be the disadvantages of that?
Well, if I just forgot about it, it would only happen again, and then I'd be mad all over again.
Okay, how about the advantages of forgetting about it?
If I could forget about it, there wouldn't be any problem, but I don't think I can.
Okay, option number 3, telling off Mr. Smith. What would be the disadvantages of this?
Well, he'd probably get mad at me, and he might even fire me, and then it might be harder for me to find a job someplace else.
That's certainly possible.
Or if he didn't fire me, he'd still be mad and make it harder for me on the job.
That's a good point. What about the advantages of telling him off?
I feel a lot better. Because he bosses me around all the time, I sure would like to give him a dose of his own medicine.
Okay, you'd feel better, you think. What about option number 4? Talking to him about how you feel.
Well, I guess the disadvantage of that would be that I don't think it would work. He's not the type of person that cares about others or how they feel.
Uh-huh.
He probably wouldn't listen.
No, I guess he might not. What about the advantages to talking to him?
Well, I might feel better because at least he would know how I felt. And if I did it in a nice way, he might not be mad. And then I could keep my job and the spending money and be able to buy the stereo.
That sounds pretty good.
Marty's mother will now summarize the 4 options and their disadvantages and advantages. We know which option her mother would prefer that she choose, option number 4. However, she will leave the choice up to her and allow her to suffer the consequences of her own decision, unless, of course, it would cause serious harm to herself or another. Let's see what she decides.
So, that sums it up. What do you think would be the best solution?
Well, I'd like to quit, but I really need the money because I might not be able to find another job. And I really want to get that stereo. I can't just forget about it, and telling him off would probably only cause further problems. I guess I could try to talk to him about how I feel, but I'm afraid to.
Marty's mother will now introduce an additional step in the SOTAS method, and that is practice or role-playing. Often when children reach solutions to their problems, they're unsure of how to implement them. They may be nervous or worried about what to say or do. When a solution has been agreed upon, a parent should offer to practice or role-play the solution with the child. But never promise the youth that the solution will necessarily go the way he or she hopes. The best you can do is help your child reach a reasonable solution and practice implementing it. If the solution does not work out the way the child planned, you'll be there to offer support and empathy. You and your child can then return to the SOTAS format to find another solution to the problem.
Excuse me, Mr. Smith?
Yes, Marty?
Mr. Smith, I wanted to talk to you about something that happened yesterday.
Not all conversations will end like this one. It may take repeated effort on your part to get the child to make a decision. Just defining the problem often takes the longest amount of time. But once you and your children begin to look at the problems in this way, following the 5 steps, you'll have taught an important decision-making tool they can use into adult life. The SOTAS method can be used in many different situations, for large and small decisions within your family's framework of moral, religious, and cultural values. Sometimes a child may choose an option that's immoral or illegal, such as lying or cheating. This gives the parent a chance to explain why such options are wrong and help the child come up with a different option. In addition, children sometimes need help in coming up with advantages and disadvantages. This gives you the opportunity to teach values to your child. Certain decisions, of course, such as whether or not to use drugs, would be clearly viewed as wrong and not open to negotiation through the SOTAS method. Here's a scene where a father not only helps his son define the problem, but he also guides his son's reasoning.
Hey, how's it going, son?
Fine.
Didn't we talk earlier in the week about you going to a party tonight?
Did we?
Uh-huh. You know we did. party going?
I don't know, I haven't decided yet.
As we said earlier, defining or understanding the situation may take the most time and the most patience. Teenagers especially can be vague, evasive, and trying. Watch, though, how our father persists despite his son's lack of responsiveness.
You know, I thought you were enthusiastic about the party when we talked before.
Well, people change their minds.
Does that mean you're not going to the party?
Maybe.
All right, Derek, what's the problem? I mean, what's bothering you, son? Has the party changed somehow?
Well, Mitchell's gonna be there.
Uh-huh. And, you and Mitchell aren't exactly buddies now, are you?
He's always finding something wrong about someone, then riding them. You know, bug him about that thing.
You worried about that?
Well, I'm not really worried. I'm not scared to death or anything like that, if that's what you mean. But he always hassles people. You know, who needs it?
Well, has he hassled you in the past?
He's always starting stuff.
You know, Mitchell sounds like a bully. Now, you want to avoid any confrontations with him, right?
I guess so.
Well, why don't we take a look at your options in this situation?
They're real simple. Either I go or I stay home.
Well, let's make sure those are your only options, son. Now, are you certain Mitchell's going to be there?
Well, I guess I could go for a while and see what happens.
Right. See, that's another option. Going to the party and then coming back home if there's any trouble. Now, let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of these
No,
options.
Pop, I don't want to go through all this.
Derek, it helps to think things through.
All right, okay. If I go, it's bad. If I stay home, it's bad.
Son, how is it bad if you don't go?
Because everyone will know that I didn't go because of Mitchell. Everyone will know that I backed down.
Who will know?
My friends, all my friends.
And if you go and leave early?
It'll still be the same thing. I'll be the one that backed down.
But son...
Nah, see, Pop? There are no advantages. I can't win. No matter what, I'll look bad in front of all my friends.
During the discussion of the advantages and disadvantages, you will gain an insight into your child's world. You'll learn where his character may be weak or strong. You can point out other ways of looking at the situation that the youngster may have overlooked. For example, the son in this scene is only concerned with what his friends think. He doesn't see the broader picture. His father will take this as a cue to discuss peer pressure.
You know, Derek, you seem to care only about what your friends think.
In this case, yeah, that's right.
Well, aren't there any advantages or disadvantages to yourself or to anybody else? Like me?
You? What do you have to do with it?
Well, son, I mean, there could be some pretty disastrous consequences for you and me if a fight were to break out at this party.
You mean if I were to get hurt?
Or you hurt someone else.
So, you think I should stay at home?
No, I didn't say that. I said you should consider other people besides your friends and what they think.
Did you notice the way this father encouraged his son to think beyond his own limits? Without the input from his father, Derek would have based his decision entirely on his perception of his friends' opinions, not what was in his own best interest. Obviously, this problem will not be solved quickly. It may take several discussions before Derek's father can lead his son to see the advantages of dealing with a bully assertively, not resorting to avoidance or aggression. Before we summarize the 5-step SOTA's method, one word of caution. Not every problem your child has will be solvable. Certain serious situations may be beyond your and your child's experience, and you'll want to consult a professional counselor. For many situations, however, this method will help clarify your youngster's confusion over what to do. Remember, define the situation, determine the options available, discuss the disadvantages and the advantages of each option, and find a solution. Though you may feel awkward at first, with practice, the method will become easier. And don't be surprised if you find your relationship with your youngster growing stronger in the process.